Hello everyone, welcome to Assamese e-school. Ami পঢ়ি আছিলো তোমালোকৰ logic and philosophy first unit 2. So we have already discussed many things. We have learned about deduction, induction and different types of induction and their definitions, etc. If you have not watched previous videos, then the links are given in the description. So first you watch those videos, then you can proceed with this one. Today we will discuss about the necessity of induction. And I know you people are very lazy to read the books, so I will try to help you, and if necessary I will do line by line also, so that whenever you read the book it's easier for you. তোমালোকে বুজি নোপোৱা কাৰণে maybe you feel lazy to read the book, so আমি কিছুমান line by line কৰিম so that তোমালোকে ভালকে বুজি পোৱা. So when we talk about necessity of induction, why do we need induction? Induction মানে কি আছিল? Inductionত we get a conclusion which is general in nature, and we have a huge leap or inductive leap or a jump from some to all, right? We get a general conclusion, and that general conclusion which we have got from induction, we can use it in deduction. In deduction we need a premise, and that premise must be general. Where we will get the premise? We will take it from the conclusion of induction, right? Logic is generally defined to be the science of reasoning. We have already discussed that when we talk about logic, the subject matter of logic, it is the reasoning. We talk about reasoning, we study about reasoning in logic. And logic is a normative science. Why is it called as normative science? Question may arise, right? Normative science বুলি কিয় কয়? Because it deals with the ideal of truth. If a subject has some ideology or idea, or there is some certain aim, then we call it as normative science. আদৰ্শ বিজ্ঞান বুলি কওঁ আমি. So আমাৰ যিটো লজিক আছে, লজিকৰ এটা আদৰ্শ আছে, that is truth. To attain the truth is the ideal of logic. That's why it is called as normative science. Logic sets before itself the ideal of truth and seeks to know the conditions which our reasoning must fulfill in order that the ideal of truth may be attained. So what do we do in logic? We try to attain truth, and this reasoning always tries to fulfill order to attain the truth. And we have already discussed that truth are of two types, formal and material truth. In case of deduction, it deals with the formal truth. Okay, so in deductive inference, the premises are always assumed to be true. In deduction or in deductive inference, the premises we use, we assume it to be truth, and we never try to prove it, and we don't check the facts, right? Our task is only to determine whether the conclusion follows necessarily from the premise. What is our main aim? Our main aim is to get the conclusion. We have to get the conclusion from the premise. We have to see whether we will get the conclusion from the premise or not. That is our task in deductive inference, right? We don't question the material, we don't question the premise, and we are not concerned, okay, about the truth of the premise. We never try to prove it. That is why deduction is not the whole truth. Because when we talk about the formal truth, it is not the whole truth. It is one of the aspect of truth. Okay. But when we get an argument formally true, that doesn't mean it will be materially true. And when we talk about the material truth, if the premise is materially true, then the conclusion will be materially true too. When we deal with the induction or inductive inference, we deal with material truth. Okay, the conclusion we are getting in induction, that must be materially true. So, what does induction gives us? It gives us the material truth, and it is very important because the aim of logic is to attain both formal truth and material truth. And if we talk about deduction, it can only give us details about the formal truth, but to attain the truth, the whole truth, the subject logic deals with truth, and to get the whole truth, we must deal with formal as well as material truth. If deduction is dealing with formal truth, then where can we learn about the material truth? Through induction, right? That's why induction is very necessary. Without induction, we will not get universal real proposition. For example, all men are mortal. This is an universal real proposition. To get this kind of real proposition, we must know the whole truth, and for that, induction helps us to get the material truth as well as the conclusion or the propositions that we can use in deduction as premise. Okay, don't get confused. Do you remember what is premise and conclusion? I am just explaining you premise. But do you remember what is the premise? I have told you, if we are talking about induction and deduction, the given sentence, the given proposition is called as the premise. Whatever will be given is called as the premise, and from the premise we will derive one sentence, one proposition, and that derived proposition will be called as the conclusion. For example, if the given proposition is all men are mortal, then we can derive from it that Ram is mortal, right? Then Ram is mortal will be the conclusion, and what will be the premise? The given proposition, that is all men are mortal. Okay, remember that. And always remember, in case of deduction always assumes the premise as the truth. Okay, deduction never tries to prove it, but in case of induction it proves it. Okay, because it needs to give us a conclusion which is universal, which is real in nature. So to get a real truth, induction always tries to prove it. Okay, and remember this line, it is said that induction supplies the universal premises of deduction. Why do we say that? Because it can provide us the material truth, and it deals with the material truth, and it establishes universal real conclusion which can be used in deduction as premise. That's why we can say that it provides deduction the universal premises. Okay, that will be the answer. I hope this thing is clear to you, the necessity of induction, why do we need induction. Now next topic is problems of induction. So we got to know that induction seeks to establish material truth of universal real propositions, right? In induction, we establish a real proposition based on observation. How we will get the proposition? Obviously, through observations or observation of particular instances. But in case of some propositions, we might have doubt. How can we believe that? How can we say that all men are mortal? Because we did not observe every man dying, right? We have seen a few people dying and we assumed through the laws of uniformity of nature and through the laws of causation, we have assumed that all men are mortal, or we observed. Okay, but we cannot prove it, right? Some of the things we cannot prove. So this is the negative point of induction. Each and every universal real proposition that we assume to be real cannot be proved. We learned that induction always tries to prove it, but in case of certain cases it is not possible to prove, and it is not possible for us to observe everything, each and everything, right? And this is the main problem of induction. And how can we deal with it? The answer is there in itself. Then we talked about two laws, right? The uniformity of nature and the law of causation. So through these laws, what we can do is, if we have even limited observation, we can utilize these laws and get a conclusion which will be true, or we will get a conclusion which has highest probability of being truth. Okay, so what we will do, we will use these laws in case of certain things where we have lack of observation, or we have less observation, or there is less possibilities of observation. And when we talk about the law, if we talk about the uniformity of nature, for example, we have seen people dying from many years, from thousands and thousands of years we have seen people dying, and we know that nature behaves evenly. Nature always behave equally or evenly to certain things, and we know that our death is a natural thing. And if people are dying, so nature will keep behaving in that way, right? Uniformity of nature. Nature will always behave uniformly. From that we can conclude that all men are mortal, because we have seen people dying, we have observed that. We have less observations because we cannot predict about the future people, right? That we cannot say that we will die, because we cannot observe that, right? But when we talk about the uniformity of nature, then we can conclude that if people are dying from these long years, then obviously we will also die in future. So we can conclude that all men are mortal, because we have seen people dying, right? So that's how we can solve the problem of induction. What is the problem of induction? That the universal real propositions concluded by induction might be questionable because of less observation or because of lack of observation, but we can get the probable whole truth through these laws, through using these laws, right? Okay, I hope you are clear about this. What is the problem of induction and how can we solve it? Right? So we have talked about the necessity of induction and the problem of induction. In next video, we will discuss about the relationship between the types of induction. We have learned about scientific, unscientific, right? But we did not discuss what are the similarities, dissimilarities between all of these. Okay, so we will discuss about that, and you have point wise given in your book the similarity dissimilarity. You can even read it. If you have understood what is induction and what is scientific induction, what is analogy, what is unscientific induction, if you are clear with the definitions, then obviously if you read the lines given, the differences and the similarities, you can understand it quite well. Okay, and if you have any doubt, then obviously I will discuss it in the next video. I hope these videos will be helpful for you. Many people were asking for these videos, so I thought I will try to help you people. And if your friends are in need, then you can share this video with them as well. And do let me know, do you like the video or not, and how can I improve, or what do you need, what is your necessity. Okay, do let me know in the comment section. So we will meet in the next one. Thank you for watching, and if you like the video, don't forget to subscribe. Bye bye.